Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the RATPAC for February 1st, 2023. My name is Anthony Luscre, and along with me is Dave Edmonds, WN4AFP, and we're here tonight to talk about the State QSO Party Challenge. As with all my slideshows, there's links throughout the slideshow, so if you get this address, we will also post a PDF of this on the RATPAC site. But STQSPC will get you access to all of the links. And the link for the State QSO Party Challenge itself is stateqsoparty.com, and that link is also in here, and I'll also be bringing that up. Before we jump into the State Party QSO Challenge, if you're new to contesting and just thinking about it, I have a slideshow, an introduction to contesting. There's also a video recording. And if you're an ARR member, you can take the online learning course, Introduction to Amateur Radio Contesting, which I actually helped put together a little while back. So that's information if you're just new to contesting. And after we go through this evening, if you're interested. And these are also some more resources on beginners contesting information. And one of the things I just want to mention without watching the whole video is a statement here from Dave Kassler. Must I submit a contest log if I make contacts? And the answer to that is no, you do not need to. In the vast majority of contests, it will not hurt the other competitors if you don't submit a log. So if you just want to casually get in the contest and not submit a log, don't worry about it. Make the contacts. But just remember, if you do submit a log, it might be like the time I submitted a log for the New Mexico QSO party. I'm sorry, from New Mexico for the ARRL VHF party. And I was using my 817 and my rubber duck, and I actually won first place in that section. So let's get on to tonight's topic, and we'll start off by talking about what a state QSO party is. It's a radio contest sponsored by states, provinces, or in some cases regions, which group multiple states or regions or provinces together. In-state stations activate counties, or in the case of Louisiana, parishes, and in the case of the prairie states, they have an administrative category. It's not a county, but they have their administrative area. These counties are used as the exchange and score multipliers. In most of the contests, the exchange for out-of-state stations is their state as the exchange. Some have additional elements to that exchange, including a possible serial number, an operator's name, or possibly other piece of information. That's one of the things about all the state QSO parties we're talking about tonight. They are not cookie cutters. There's some differences between each party. So when we're talking about parties in general, that doesn't reflect on each individual party. So you want to make sure you always check the rules for each party that you're getting involved with. The State QSO Party Challenge is developed as a means of recognizing amateur radio operators for their active participation in all of the state QSO parties that they participate in. It's not a single contest. Instead, it's a challenge overlay of the existing state QSO party contest. There's 47 contests in the challenge, and they take place over 21 different weekends of the year. You can work as many or as few as you want to, but working more, of course, increases your chances for having a good score in the State QSO Party Challenge. The purpose of the State QSO Party Challenge is to be the catalyst to take State QSO Party contesting to the next level. To increase the enjoyment of the SQP participants, to assist state SQP contest organizers in providing quality contests, and to promote increased SQP contesting activity, and to also promote new or revamped parties. And we've had a couple of new parties since we started the State QSO Party Challenge, and I'll be mentioning those as we go along. So how does it work? The participants work any or all of the state 47 state, province, and regional QSO parties according to each party's individual rules. Participants then enter their results for each contest via the 3830.com website, sometimes called the Contest Rumors score site. When they put their information in there, the State QSO Party Challenge automatically aggregates results for each participant's State QSO Party entries, and they're all tallied together. Now, I just want to remind you here, doing your submittal to 3830 does not enter you in the individual State QSO parties. So make sure you still send the login to them to enter the party. Participants in the challenge, their score is based on the number of QSOs worked times the number of parties they worked. And to have a party be active in that total, you have to have at least 2 QSOs for each work party. So if you work in 10 parties and you have a total of 1,500 QSOs, your score would be 150,000. Participants can qualify for one of 5 award levels: diamond, platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. As they can also achieve Worked All State QSO Parties WAQP award by working those. And we'll talk a little bit more about that specific challenge in a few seconds. So this is an example of how the results are displayed on one of the tabs of the State QSO Party Challenge leaderboard. Anytime in this presentation you see this serifed font italicized, that means if you click on it, it'll take you out to that specific resource. And when we go out to the leaderboard now, it's going to be kind of boring because the first party hasn't taken place. The first parties will be starting this weekend. So you notice there's no data. So magically data will start showing up after this weekend as people submit their scores. Now, fortunately, I have something to show you. I'm going to show you the results of 2020 because it looks the same as this will in the future. So these are the final results for 2020. No, this is 2020. I have to change that. I have to fix that. It should say 2022 up there. Okay. So these are the top 10 scores. You can see that the top scorer had almost 13,000 Qs, and they worked in all 47 parties. So those multiply together to give them a final score of 591,000 plus. Now you notice some other people did not work as many parties, only 39 parties, but they still had a significant number of QSOs. That still put them up in the top 10 and still got them a diamond award. So you'll see that some people try and work all the parties, other people try and concentrate making more QSOs in a few less parties. And you'll see that for the most part, in the top 25 entries, all of them worked at least 25 of the 47 events. Because it's a multiplier of your score, the more contests you work, of course, the better chance for your score to go up. The leaderboard shows both by total number of points and by total number of parties worked. We also have sorting by call sign and other things. So there's multiple tabs on that, and I'll go through the leaderboard a little more later on. Dave, I'll let you talk about the Worked All States QSO Party Award.
Okay. We do have a Worked All State QSO Party Award. We began this in 21, and so we've completed 2 years of the WAQP award. We have, of course, 4 different levels of the WAQP, and that's the apasionado. Thank you, Anthony. I think you who came up with that? Bill or Anthony? Anyway, we're going to go with it anyway. 50. So to get this award, you need to work at least 50 to 74% participation in the state QSO party contest. Expert 75 to 89. Elite, you got to work a few more from 90 to 99, and then of course the ultimate participation would be operating in 47 of 47 contests.
That'll get you this trophy.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Worked All QSO Party award right now, in 2022 up until 2022, is that these awards are based upon submitting logs to the sponsor, to the contest sponsor, and this requires an application to get up to receive these awards. So there's a little more meat to this one. You can't just put your scores up on 3830 and receive this award. So it takes a little more work from the participants, but also one of the goals that we had in mind when we put this one together was to have more logs going into the contest sponsors, so that more logs would be submitted. So this is one of the reasons for that requirement. And the other one is that several of us on the group have USACA backgrounds. So I mean, county hunters. So the USACA requires, signed cards and confirmed confirmations and all that good stuff. So we wanted to have a little bit more, be a little bit more than just claim scores, but actual participation and log submission. So that's why it's the way it is. And it is a little bit different than the state QSO party challenge, that we use confirmed results instead of just claim scores. So that's a little bit different. That may be changing a little bit, who knows, down the street, but right now that's the way it is.
Well, this is the write-up that was put together, and you can read this on the website, but I'll bring it up here to show you some of the highlights of it. This was posted just, what, 2 weeks ago, week ago?
Yes. Yeah.
And it talks about the fact that how many total queues were made, almost 1.3 million. 2,078 operators submitted reports of 3830. 928 of those qualified for the state QSO party challenge with a minimum of 2 contacts in at least 2 parties. 35 operators attained the diamond level. The diamond level is rather hard to get to. You have to have 100,000 points, so it isn't just a gimme to get into the diamond level. 389, 42% of the operators accumulated more than 100,000 contest points. And this was a 96% increase over the 2021 and a 923% increase over the 2020. So that's a really great indication that there is interest in this process. We're trying to always increase our participation from overseas, and we had 150 Canadian entries. That probably spurred on a little bit more by the new party that's in Canada. And in addition, we had people from 10 other countries. And in fact, OM2VL from the Slovak Republic ranked 7th overall. So he was working with a significant disadvantage over many of his competitors, in that he was doing it from Europe as opposed to being in the United States. By the way, I just worked him on Saturday night. He's a fantastic operator. On Saturday night on 160, I was using 5 watts to my soaper, and I worked him. He pulled me out of the mud. I couldn't believe it. So very much interested in how well he did in the party. And it's obvious he's a very good operator. There's more information here throughout the whole thing, and I'm not going to go through and read it to you, but I just want to show you this one little statistic here. This shows the number of entries per party. So you'll see that California had the most, Florida was second, not too far behind. The 7th call district area, which is a group of states in the 7th call district, and the New England, which is the 1 call district, of course, were all in the top numbers. And it's rounded up by Virginia, Minnesota, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and New York. And I think that's a really good performance from Minnesota, being the first party of the year when people don't even remember it's going to be there. So that was rather interesting. The number of QSOs varies a little bit. There's some variation in the numbers on that and on the ranks of each of the party. So this is all available for you to read on the website. You can go through this whole document. So this is the list of the parties, and if you click on this link, it takes you out to the page on the leaderboard, or the tab on the leaderboard, I should say, and I actually can just do it straight from the leaderboard here. This is one of 2 lists on the site. We have multiple lists. This is the one I put together that groups them by weekend. So you'll notice that we have 47 parties over 21 weekends. They start off rather hot and heavy. Then we get a little bit of drop off during the summertime. The downtime for the state QSO parties is for the middle of June until the middle of August. So there's really no July parties. There's no late June parties or early August parties. So you get a chance to catch your breath. I guess we should have the all-star party right in here at the middle, right at the break point.
We'll think about that. That's a good place to do it. Yeah.
So you can pick which parties, and you'll see that some parties are 1 week, 1 day. Some parties are 2 days. I think the shortest party is, I think, 8 hours. I'm not sure on that for
That
sure.
would
Do you remember,
be
Dave?
Wisconsin, or I believe it's Wisconsin. That's the shortest one,
Yeah,
and that's on a Sunday afternoon from 1 to, is it 1 to
that's
7 or
5 hours.
something?
Yeah, 5 hours.
Yeah, right. And also Vermont's kind of interesting. It's really it goes almost, well, over 24 hours. What is that?
Yeah.
A whole uh, not quite
So
the whole weekend, but it starts on Friday night, 0000 Zulu. So it gets a head start on everyone else. So
Yep.
uh,
And you'll notice that some weekends we have 1 or 2 parties, some weekends we have 3, and then we have a monster weekend coming up. There's actually 2 monster weekends
oh
coming
wow,
up this year. And the first one will be the first weekend in May when we have the 7th District Call Party, which means all those states in the 7th Call District. Indiana, which isn't, of course, not that big. But then we have New England, so we have the 1. So you have a chance to work all the 7 call district area except for Alaska, which is not in that party. All of the 1 call district plus Indiana and Delaware all in that weekend. And then we have another big weekend coming up, and we have a rather big party accumulated with a couple other ones, and that is the Texas party coming up. And I can't remember what weekend that's on.
it's in September.
Yeah, let's get that. Here it is. So we have on the second weekend in September, we have Texas, Iowa, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Washington, all in one weekend. And the Texas party is rather big, and the Washington party is fairly large. So that'll be a busy weekend. Now, the California QSO party and the Florida QSO party are on weekends by themselves, and that's really good because they're a rather big contest, and they are both 2-day contests. So you'll get a chance to do some working for both of those coming up. So that's just a list, and you can click on any of these and get the detailed information from the corresponding website of the party by clicking on that link. It'll take you out to their website with the full rules and all the information for that particular party. This is just another list. Again, they'll take you out to the right location for each of these parties. This is just an alphabetical listing by state, and then it has the combined parties at the end. The only state that you're not going to work in if you work all the parties will be Alaska. That's the only state that's not part of this process.
Mhm.
The newest party was added last year. It's the Canadian Prairies QSO party, and that is Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And that's an area that a lot of people don't have, so it's a good chance to work some places that people don't normally work. So why would you participate in the challenge and in the parties themselves? Working the parties is a great place for completing awards such as Worked All States. It's a great chance to work rare U.S. counties. Many counties are not on the air throughout the year, but they're activated specifically for their state QSO party challenge. We have a number of people that operate mobile or rover stations, portable stations. So there's quite a few counties that are activated during that period of time.
Anthony,
Yes.
in that regards, if you are a county hunter, and many people are, there's 2 counties up there in Massachusetts, Barnstable, Dukes. Those are extremely hard to find. But during the NEQP, the New England QSO party, they're typically on the air. And I was a old-time county hunter, and I'm still, one of these days I'll send in the award for the award. But those were those counties that you're like, when are they ever going to be on the air? And here's that chance. So that's an example of those 2.
And last year we had 2 mobiles going through North Dakota quite a bit of the time, so
Right.
there was a great chance to rack up North Dakota counties, which a lot of which I did not have.
Right.
And another nice thing is many of the parties are small enough that new contesters actually have a chance to win a category. So if you might say, how do I win the sweepstakes? Well, you got to compete against a lot of people. In these parties, you're competing against a smaller number of people, especially if you choose one of the more unique categories.
Correct.
And of course, it's your chance to shine when it's your state QSO party, or if you want to travel to another state for their party. You will be in demand like rare DX stations. You'll be just like Beauvais, but you won't have to endure the freezing cold water or the weeks of travel or the poor weather conditions, unless you're in a couple states that might have those on their own. Uh, it's a great activity for in-state local clubs to encourage on-air activities by their members. So, even if your club only gets on for one party, if it gets on for your state QSO party, that's a great chance to have your members take part in an active contest. If you're a rover, mobile, or portable op, many of the contests have separate categories for each of these, and these operators can go out and activate one or more counties during the contest. And it's good for those with a home antenna restriction, of course, because you can go out and operate and not have to worry about your neighbor complaining about the way your antenna looks. And I just happen to have a presentation here. I'm not going to play the video right now, but Jim is with us tonight. It's his presentation that he did on operating mobile in contest. One of the things that a lot of people comment about the state QSO parties is that they're friendly. The atmosphere of friendly, laid-back competition. It's a chance to connect with old friends around the state. I know when we have the Ohio QSO party, it's sometimes the only time during the year that I work people every year. I know they'll be in the QSO party. It makes for great club competitions both between club members and between local clubs. Set up a challenge with your local club and see which club can have more scores, either in the state QSO party challenge or in individual parties. It's a great activity for new contesters. As I said, it's somewhat more laid back than many of the high pressure contests. Both single sideband and CW options are available to work, and some contests have been adding digital or data options. Shorter duration contests make it easier for people just starting out, and there's many opportunities throughout the year. If you're busy on one really big contest weekend, you get 21 other weekends to try it out again. Each party is unique. They have different rules and activities. Some do bingo with call signs, some have special bonus call signs, and then some have some unique state-related prizes. I won the 1-ounce maple syrup from Vermont one year in my category, smoked salmon from Washington State, and in the past there's even been wine from California. T-shirts from some locations. So there's a variety of different things, and each of the parties has their own character to them. I'm going to let you go ahead and take this, Dave, because this is actually your baby right here.
Okay. The question here is, how can the state QSO party challenge help state QSO parties? Well, what we've seen over the last 3 years, and this is year number 4, and 3.5 years or over 40, well, a little over 4 years ago, putting this together, or I'm sorry, a little over 3 years ago. Anyway, in 2019, the end of 2019, right before the first year, 2020, we had no idea how many people would be involved, and we knew it would be pretty exciting, but didn't know really what was going to happen. And it's grown by leaps and bounds as we've seen. But some of the results would be increased number of participants in the state QSO parties. Well, it's kind of like I've been a QSO party enthusiast or roadie for since 2014. And I was usually battling with N4P, if y'all remember Paul and others, K4BAI, on a regular basis. Who's going to win this state QSO party? And the turnout was probably a third of what we have today in many of the QSO parties. So it was easier to pick up a plaque, perhaps, but the competition was still there, but not like it is today. So when we put this together, there's a negative. I created my competition. So that's what happened. There's no question. I feel it every time I get in a QSO party. Increased participants, QSO numbers in state QSO parties. Yes, the participants are making more QSO parties in the QSO parties than they did years, before the state QSO party challenge existed. Increased county activations and mobile operators. We've seen an increase in that. and the encouragement development of new parties for areas not already included. Well, we've had several new state QSO parties sprout and become part of it, the two in Canada. And we're like, well, what's going to be next? Not much left, but I'm sure we may have one or two more. Who knows?
I'd like to see a
But
return of the Maritimes to the contesting process. That'd be fun.
yeah, one of these days, we'll give them some time. They'll come around, but we'll see. We'll see. We'd love to have the U.S. and Canada represented, and that would be really cool. And there are more ways we can help the state QSO parties, bring in a wider variety of participants from more U.S. states and DXCC entities. Again, the level of participation has grown, and it's grown more than just local, but national, because everyone is playing in more QSO parties. So it's really the activity is just going on, through the roof. Encouraging very active contesters, not usually QSO party participants, to get involved, due to the chances to advance in the SQP challenge. We've seen this. There are many that have become part of the SQP challenge and continue to work at, and encourage non-contesters to get involved. I think it's a great opportunity for new contesters to get involved with contesting. It's an easy way to get in. But I will say one thing. Anthony mentioned it's a friendly atmosphere. Well, until you're trying to work that mobile who's going to be in that county for 2 minutes. And about 200 people are calling that county, calling that operator, like Jim, in that county for a couple of minutes, and everybody's trying to work him. So it does get a little fierce in the piles, but I have seen this night and day from the 2014, 15, 16, 17 until today. It's totally different. And we're also, the one thing that's happened is the contests themselves, the QSO parties. Many people used to say, well, it's a QSO party. It's not really a contest. Well, go out there and work the contest this year, and I think you'll say a little bit different story after you do it.
So if you're interested, read through the State QSO Party Challenge rules, and the link is here, and it's also on the page. This is the State QSO Party Challenge page, and all the rules are right here. You can read all that information. Read the FAQ that's there also. And then you need to find the parties that you want to work. You can find them on the calendar from WA7BNM. Bruce does this calendar in addition to doing 3830 and doing a lot of work behind the scenes for us. You can also find the parties, of course, on the State QSO Party Challenge site. Just make sure, though, that you do check the rules for each of those.
Yes.
And then get ready for the party. You need to plan your operation. Now, this might be very simple. If you're an out-of-state competitor, you're not going to change counties. You're not going to go mobile. You're just going to be at your home shack operating for the most part. So it's pretty easy. You just have to make sure you're ready to operate in the contest. But if you're in state, you have some decisions to make. Do you want to operate fixed from your home station? Do you want to operate fixed from a portable location, such as a single county? Or do you want to go mobile and rover and activate multiple counties? And if you do, then the planning just begun, because then you need to plan your route and your schedule for all your operations. So this could be as extensive or as minimal as you want as far as planning goes. The next thing you need to do is get ready for the party. And you need to know your exchange. Now, it's going to be simple when you're out of state. It's probably going to be, as I said before, your state, possibly your name, possibly a serial number, but you need to know what it's going to be. And especially if you're in the state that has the party going on, make sure you know your county. I've had to look counties up for people before. I also suggest strongly that if you're operating any other event on a weekend of a state QSO Party Challenge and you're in that state, know your information. So if you're going to go out and operate POTA during the Florida QSO Party weekend and you're in Florida, make sure you know your county. Don't just tell people the park you're in. They're going to want your county, because they're going to, a lot of times those some of those state parks are in very rare counties. Install, configure, and learn how to use your software. Probably the two biggest ones that are used are N1MM and N3FJP. Some contests have their own logging software available, so if you want to use that, you can. And you can use paper logs if you want, but almost all the contests require that you submit a electronic log. So I would consider that if you're going to be doing some contesting anyway. For more logging software for Mac and Linux, visit my website. I have some links there to other contesting software. These are both Windows programs. Then the next thing you need to do is operate. Well, when you start operating, you need to find stations. And because state QSO parties aren't the CQ Worldwide, where the entire band is filled with participants, a lot of parties publish suggested frequencies to direct participants to specific parts of the band. Now remember, that's just a suggested frequency or frequency range. You need to look a little bit above and below that. There might be people that are not in that area or may have gotten too crowded. Stations typically identify that they are participating in the party. CQ, the Ohio QSO party. This is Kilo 8 Zulu Tango. And if I'm a rover, I want to probably include the county I'm in at that time so that people want to work me again can work me when I'm in a new county. Most parties allow all stations use spotting on DX clusters. So just consider maybe using a spotting cluster. And some parties even have their own clusters for or spotting networks that they set up. Is South Carolina and North Carolina doing theirs again, Dave?
Yeah, well, we have the QSO hub, QSO party hub that we're using this year, like we've used last year, and Mark saying yes, that he has one also. So definitely it's spotting is I think we put spotting on the map, believe it or not. Once we were doing this, more A. L'Oreal changed their spotting rules recently. So maybe we did that. Who knows?
Some tips for newer contesters: make sure you read and understand the contest rules, know your exchange. Yes. And if you're new to contesting, just a reminder, you want to keep the QSO streamlined. Send only what is required for the exchange, avoid excessive information, repeat only requested information. But that doesn't mean you can't give a friendly thank you or a friendly hi to the person. But you don't need to give a detailed signal report, your name and your station and your radio, et cetera, et cetera.
And the weather we don't really do weather reports either.
Yes, just on the freeze your butt off contests where you need to report your temperature. Not all contesters will be on the suggested frequency, so tune above and below, especially on single sideband. Know the station's call sign before responding. Don't make the contact and then ask the station who's calling CQ, by the way, what was your call sign? If you're calling CQ, give your call frequently enough so that people aren't asking what your call sign is. If you're a rover, give your new county in the CQ periodically so stations know that it's okay to work you again. Keep track of the stations you have already worked. Only time that you can work a station again is on a new band or if they move to a new county. So just be aware of that. Some other tips on spotter information. I have a link here for DX clusters. And just a little note here, many of the rover mobile stations tend to operate on or near the same frequencies as they change counties and bands. For example, station W1 ABC may be operating on 35.38, 7038, and 14038 for his CW contact. So whenever he changes bands, he tries to stay in a similar spot so people know where to look for him. And I know a number of the mobiles and rovers do this. After the contest, you need to submit your log to the sponsor of the contest. That's the organization, like the Ohio QSO Party, the Florida QSO Party, et cetera, et cetera. You also then need to post your scores to 3830 to enter the state QSO Party challenge. You post to the specific QSO Party site. Now I can actually do that now because this week we have 3830 has the first time that there's state QSO parties out there. Hopefully. Why am I not seeing any state QSO party challenges here? They're not up yet.
Come on now, Bruce.
Maybe Bruce is taking vacation.
He'll have them up on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just pretend that this is one of the contests here, so I'll just choose the this. So you pick the party for that you're doing. Oh, wait a second. There's some weird things going on the site tonight. There we go.
There we go.
And you'd put in the information. If you've never used the 3830 site before, I have a link, and I'll put that at the end here for information on using 3830 and also using the contesting calendar site. But you fill out all your information. Make sure you put your club in, because we do have club competition also. So if you're in a contesting club and you want to put it in there, make sure you put that in. Fill out all the information, and then click the submit button, and then your scores will show up under the home section, under the current contest listing. And again, they're not here yet, so I can't show you those. I did this last week and I couldn't show them, but this week I was expecting them to be here. So there's no specific entry for the State QSO Party Challenge needed. You don't need to do anything special as far as entering the State QSO Party Challenge. Just get your scores in 3830. This is the link for more information on, this is the, this is the presentation, I should say. tiny.cc/3830 is a slideshow that I did on using the 3830 site. If you click on that link, it'll bring you out to that presentation, and you can see information on history, how it works, how to submit, how to set up preferences. By the way, I just want to mention this anyway, if you've not done this before. If you set up preferences for that, each time you go in to fill it out, you don't need to put in your call sign and your state and all that information. It'll keep it in your preferences as long as you're using the same computer, because it actually sets a cookie on your browser with that information. So you can read through the whole thing on using 3830 at this link right here. Then you can view your aggregated scores, running scores, both on the 3830 site, but especially on the State QSO Party Challenge leaderboard. They'll show up on this leaderboard, and you'll be able to look at your scores both by the number of parties you worked, by your total score, by the number of total QSOs, or by your call sign. And again, they will look very similar to these previous results from these previous years. But of course, they won't. The first time anyone enters one, there'll be 1 contest, 2 contests, and then 3 contests you'll start seeing by the end of this weekend. And then you can increase your aggregated State QSO Party Challenge running score by entering more parties and working more QSOs. Some extra resources if you're interested. Multi-Chaser is a free add-on program for N1MM logger that displays contest multis on a map as they're worked. There's some county maps out there from the U.S. Census. Unfortunately, they don't have the abbreviations for the states, but they're nice maps. There's also the N05W county overlay maps out there. And let me just bring up a couple of these resources so you see what they look like. This is the state county maps. You can pick the one you want. Bring it up on the screen. A lot of them need to be rotated and have the information on it. This last one on the list here is something I think is actually designed for people who are county visitors. I think there's something where people go out and try and visit all the counties, but this is a nice site because it has the counties broken down on it. As you zoom in, you can see the counties, but you can also see the highways and other things. So it's much easier to pick things out. And if someone says, I'm not sure what county I'm in, but I'm on Route 80 in Pennsylvania and I just passed through such and such county, you can tell them what the next county is going to be and so forth. So you can zoom in and out on this. And this is called Mob Rule. And I think the idea is you go in and you mark which counties you visited, but I've obfuscated it for amateur radio use. I also have a number of resources on my webpage on contesting, operating, and propagation, spotting, etc. These are the challenge team members, and I'll let Dave go ahead because Dave's on the top of the list here.
Okay, we have Stan K4SBZ. Stan was involved in the early stages of this, and he and I really kind of threw all the ideas around and made some things happen. Mark Music, WB9CIF, Jeff Hartley, probably everyone's heard NII's call out there. Bill Bliss, W1WBB, Anthony K8Z2, who is great. Bruce Horn, WA7BNM. We couldn't do any of this without Bruce, without 3830. What a wonderful data machine that is, and it's amazing. And I want to say one more thing. The awards that we have for the top 10 SEQ challenge winners and our certificates. These certificates were based upon a lot of the artwork and the design of Mark, W4MPS. Mark, I just wanted to thank you once again since you're here tonight.
And you notice we made sure we included some rare states in the committee members, having Jeff in West Virginia and Bill in Rhode Island. So when you need those rare states, you can count on 2 committee members to give them to you. Unfortunately, I can't give you a rare state. Stan, Dave, your audio went away there. I'm not sure what happened, but when you picked up that chart, you must have bumped something. When you picked up the certificate, your audio went out. Try muting and unmuting again, or also try changing your mic on Zoom and then come back again. I had that problem earlier with another Zoom thing this week. So that's the end of the presentation. Again, the slideshow is available at tiny.cc/stqspc. You can shoot the barcode to get to it. The link for the State QSO Party Challenge is stateqsoparty.com. And if you need a PDF of this presentation, you can click here for more information. We'll go ahead and take questions and comments in a few moments. This is my contact information and also my other presentations. I'm working on present all states, present all counties, present all countries since the beginning of COVID. I've done over 325 now. So if you're interested in having any kind of presentation for your club that's on my list, I'd be happy to have you. There you go. You got audio again.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll take questions. I'll go ahead and drop my screen share. And
Anthony, I guess just want to make sure
that
you heard me. I was just I wanted to thank Mark for his help in creating the design. I think y'all heard that, but that was amazing. It took us a while to get this together, and I'm still, as Mark, as you can tell, making every year I'm doing something a little bit different to it. Also, ICOM America came on the scene in February, right after we kicked this off. I didn't know how we were going to pay for awards and things like that. And NV9L was on Bob Heil's show, and I asked her to share something about the QSO Party Challenge, and she did on his show. And next thing you know, ICOM contacted me and said, "How can we help you?" And I'm like, "Well, I know one way you can help me." I put in there, I requested ICOM 7300 in my first submission, but well, that didn't. I had to go back and redo my request for funding. But anyway, we did get funding, and they're helping us, so we don't have to go out, beg and beg for funds, that kind of thing. But it's about time for me to go back to them and say, "Hey, we need some more." But we do have some more plans, maybe some website improvements, things like that. But we're running it on a very low budget, but we've got some great people, and expenses just to the minimal, just so we can do it and do it well. So just want to say thanks to all these people that helped us out. Thank you. Questions?
This is Mark, W4MPS, near Raleigh, North Carolina. Good evening, everybody. And thanks, Anthony, for a great presentation. Very helpful. And Dave, great to see you, and glad that award turned out okay. You guys have done a great job, and we were talking about it at the North Carolina committee meeting last October, and we're convinced that the State QSO Party Challenge really was responsible for a dramatic increase in the number of participants. I think we had over 550 logs submitted last year,
Right.
So that was pretty awesome. Anyway, I'd like to take this slide presentation and link it on our website and also our Facebook groups page, if that would be okay, Anthony.
Yeah, that would be fine. And you might want to also grab, in the next day or so, we'll have the link for the video, so you can take the RATPAC video link and you can include the slideshow link and make both of those available so people can actually watch the video of us tonight and read through the slideshow.
Perfect. That's great. I appreciate that.
And by
Thank
the
you,
way,
everybody, and have fun this year. And I'm going to try to get as active as I can in all these parties. Appreciate it.
very
Thanks,
good.
Mark.
And by the way, all the RATPAC videos are available for use however you'd like for your local group. There's over 260 recordings out there of different presentations. We do this every Wednesday and Thursday night, and there's a lot of things available, and you're welcome to use them. Other questions, comments? All complaints go to Dan, by the way. I recognize some faces out there, people that I work every year in the QSO parties and many QSO parties.
Jim, tell us what it's like to be in the mobile when you are in that county for 2 minutes.
Unmute. Okay. It's a lot of fun. I like running rates. It's and if I'm going to be in the county for 2 minutes, actually, I do stop and try to spend at least 10 or 15 minutes in the county. A couple of little tricks I have. It's geographically dependent. And there's places like Michigan, Western Ohio, where counties are all nice square perpendicular lines that you kind of go down one road halfway through the county, turn left, go 2 miles into the adjoining county, go another thing, and keep going back and forth. In Ohio, I think we do like 28 or 29 counties in 12 hours. Florida, I do it single op driver by myself. They actually have a category. I'm not real crazy about that. And there's a thought of encouraging someone to go out and operate while driving is not good. Though in Florida, I find it's not crazy for the most part. And I drive through Tampa on I-275. I just don't even think about trying to do the radio. We got on a nice flat empty highway. The absolute rule is do not attempt to keep a log if you're operating while driving. You record the thing, you transcribe it later. But with that, I can operate. And then, of course, I stop, especially if at county line. And when you have the rate meter at 200 an hour at 2 counties per, numbers go pretty quick. But it's a lot of fun.
Jim, have you seen an increase in activity in the files over the last few years?
Not especially, although in 2020, in the COVID year, when everybody was stuck at home, I said, hey, if I'm going to go out driving around by myself, I'm not a disease hazard. And that year was an incredible year. And I think that was also the year that in Ohio, we typically run into a conflict with the Kansas QSO party. And there's a sort of distracts activity, and the bans are such that if you're in New Jersey and want to work Ohio, you do it on 40 meters. If you want to do it on Kansas, you work 20 meters, you don't hear Ohio. But I think in that year, our usual 900, 950 QSOs in 12 hours went to like 1,400. And then it dropped back to a little more normal the following year when COVID was not shutting the place down. But it's always been fun.
And 2020 was a great year to start this. That wasn't planned at all, but it worked.
The other thing which I have done, I'm also a bike rider, bicycle. In Pennsylvania, I typically ride around in recent years with Gary AF8A. So we drive around. It's a 2-day contest, which I don't really think 2 days for any QSO party other than maybe California, maybe Florida is too much. But it's a 2-day contest. So we drive around Saturday, operate, end up in Indiana, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour northeast of Pittsburgh. There's a very nice bike rail trail down there. So then Sunday we go ride our bikes and do that. And then in other years, another good friend of mine, Barney K3LA, who's a buddy from back in high school, leave Cleveland, kind of zigzag around Ohio, end up down near Springfield, Ohio, which is a little bit north of Dayton. And then Sunday we've gone out and done some very nice bike riding down there. So we try to make 2 for trips, and it works out well.
Absolutely, it's wonderful.
By the way, that's a good thing to plan if you want to go to a state as part of your vacation, and look for a weekend when there's going to be a QSO party, so you can work another in-state QSO party, especially even as a rover going into the state, as a mobile and going around. So I did Pennsylvania. I went out, this is a few years back. I went out the East Broad Top to the Scenic Railroad, and then on the way back was able to operate the Pennsylvania QSO party on the way home. So you can often tie these events together.
Yeah, you mentioned briefly, but the Parks in the Air makes, to me, would seem like a very interesting tie-in trip. I've not been, I'm not a Parks in the Air guy. However, I did sign up in this past year in Florida. Two of my counties, Pinellas County and Hillsborough. Hillsborough is the county with associated Tampa, which runs down there through the middle of Tampa Bay. Pinellas County and the St. Petersburg County is like the north end of the bay. And out in the bay, they have the Fishing Pier State Park, which was originally the bridge across Tampa Bay. And part of that, and which is quite a tragic story there. This is one that in 1980, a boat ran into the bridge, knocked the bridge out. There were like 30 people killed driving off the bridge. It wasn't there, but the remains of it is now a state park. So the center part in Hillsborough County is a state park on the air. And then I went down 1,000 feet or so into Pinellas County, set up, operated again. Of course, this is all over saltwater, which is wonderful. I had like about 300 QSOs from the two locations. So I think I'm pretty highly up there rated in the Florida for having passed out the Parks on the Air QSOs. But it's it would make for a good tie-in. And I say, I don't know quite how to communicate with the POTA people, but to get a two for operation there of parks and counties would be a wonderful thing.
I've reached out to POTA on several occasions, and I'm continuing to do that because they're fantastic operators, portable mobile operators. It's a beautiful, I mean, you know, doing the same thing, just add a just add a county on the end of the exchange, and there you go. So we've got to infiltrate the POTA organization somehow. So I'm working on that. WE3SPC is going to get an email from me this week. One of our mobiles for the South Carolina QSO party, and Mark, if you're still Mark knows N4CW. If you've ever worked Bert, a crazy fanatic CW operator. He puts out 24, 25 counties in South Carolina in the 11 hours, which is just nuts, making 1,400 contacts. Crazy. Well, I spoke with him this week, and they said that his daughter has lung cancer, and they're not going to be able to go. So I'm sitting here going, okay, my mobile that's been coming here for the last 5 years, not going to be here this year. So we're reaching out to everyone to join us, and I'm going to be knocking on all the POTA operators in South Carolina in the next next week or so. But I think the POTA is a great resource if we can just get them on here and educate them on, hey, you can do both. You can do both. So thanks, Jim. Put the word out.
Go ahead, Rob.
Comment and a question. Comment on the POTA. I've had the same thought. One option, couple of options. One is, as a hunter, you could ask the activator what county they're in, but if they're in, well, of course, that takes more time. Something I just thought of that wouldn't require any official change, but maybe it could infiltrate as a common practice, is since most of the activators self-spot on the POTA page, and the history of the spots is available while they're active, if we could encourage them to include the county when they self-spot, it would be there for anyone who wants to look down the list and find it for their own records. And that wouldn't require necessarily getting the powers that be on board, just kind of put it on the POTA Facebook and encourage people to do it, and maybe it takes hold. My question is, I'm in Washington, I operate the Salmon Run as a county expedition with a buddy of mine. We go out to one of the semi-rare counties each year. We operate as a team, and we use his call sign because it's a little shorter than mine. Is there any provision in the state QSO party for that sort of team situation in the challenge? I mean,
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, we don't really have a team competition, any teams yet. We haven't gone down that road yet.
Now we will split the contacts with you though, if you want to.
Oh yeah. I was going to say that you definitely get credit for the contacts each individual operator makes, because when you put your information into 3830, you include the operator, like a club's, like your multi-op. Put the call you used up in the call used blank, and then below that operators, and you put the call signs in, and
Oh,
the
okay.
system 3830 splits them up for us. I mean, you wouldn't believe Bruce's system is made this possible. When we were sitting back in 19, I hate to say it, back in 19 and then December, we had a great idea. How in the world are we going to be able to do this? And there was Bruce, and he said, I can help you. This was in January the 10th or so. Bruce started putting this together. We're 3 weeks away from Vermont QSO party.
Mhm.
We did it within a week of the week. We had a week to market it and get it going. And anyway, it was just, Bruce has done a great job, but this is another feature Bruce added just for us is the way to split that up. So yes,
Okay.
we
Yeah.
do love to have multi-ops, and many times multi-ops are expeditions like you're talking about. So
Yeah.
we love them.
Now, you might think that the State QSO Party Challenge leaderboard is some fantastic thing that goes through and sorts out. All I'm doing is pulling all the stuff directly from 3830 through one magic hidden sheet. And basically what happens is I have one formula, and this is the entire formula. This pulls all the data from Bruce's 3830 site. And
let me screenshot that.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So if you've never used Google Sheets before, they have a really neat function called import HTML, and it lets you pull tabled HTML data off of websites and manipulate it. So that's the entire formula that I had that let me set up the leaderboard. Everything else is just sorts based on that data that pulls in from that one statement.
Gosh, I didn't know how you did it. That's one. Thanks. After 3.5 years, here we go.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to
Finally
tell you
knew.
because you would throw me out a long time ago.
That's right. That's
figured
right.
I was, I only put one line of code into the whole thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. I learned a few things tonight. That's one of them.
Other questions, comments? QSO party plans.
Well, not exactly the challenge question, but an interesting factoid, which I had not realized for many years until I showed up in Florida a couple of years ago. Usually a contest is like the nth, the first, second, third, fourth weekend of the month. Florida QSO party is actually, it's the last Saturday of the month and the following Sunday. So I guess last year was a case where it was felt on April 30th and May 1st. Now for the next, I think 6 years, I think there's a leap year that skipped over. It will be the fourth weekend of April, but it's not always.
And by the way, if you want to work more than one party using N1MM, a couple of the weekends that have multiples, like the weekend with the New England party, the 7th district call party, that you can use those all as one party, and then they're split out automatically by the groups. But the problem is it doesn't let you split out the scores for the 3830 posting. So we have a tool on the State QSO Party Challenge page that was put together for us that lets you split those scores out and do your individual submissions, because when you're using that combined tool in N1MM, it doesn't give you breakdowns by each of the parties you work that weekend. So if you go to the State QSO Party Challenge page, you can find the tool that is there to use to be able to do that with.
Yeah, that's for the 4QP weekend,
Yes.
the first weekend in May. The New England QSO party, 7th QSO party, and was it Delaware and Indiana. So that works really well. We do not have one for the 5th, for the third or second weekend in September, the third weekend in September at this point. And we're not, I don't think N1MM is going to do that. So
Yeah,
don't,
here's
don't
the
look for
parsing
that.
tool though, right here.
Right.
So if you need to be able to parse that out. There's also another tool that you might find useful if you work a lot of State QSO party challenges from ND1C. He has a tool that will let you convert the county abbreviations into the full county names to import into your regular logbook. So a lot of logbooks do not do that conversion for you automatically. So by using this tool, the ADIF county conversion tool, it'll let you take your .log file or your .adif file with the abbreviations for the counties in it and convert it to full names of the counties.
which is good for USACA. And
Yes.
those kind of things. Yes.
Any other questions?
Good deal.
Yes, go right ahead. Dale, you're muted, I
Whoops.
think.
Okay, you hear me?
There, we got you now.
Yeah, I've done all three. I got a late start on the first one. I didn't hear about it till a friend of mine told me about it. So I missed about the first month and a half. Had a great time. And then the last year's in 2021, it was a lot of fun. There's, for me, only 100 watts on a wire. Certain states are really difficult, but the trick is you just got to hang in there. That's my feeling is, say, like first time I did Hawaii, I only got one contact. Well, it didn't matter. I didn't have a lot of states from the beginning, but what I learned to do is be persistent. Don't give up. Anybody who's trying to get all 47 this past year, 47, it's not hard, but you have to be persistent, especially on those states that give you a lot of trouble. And I don't know that I remember, I think it was the year before last, 2021, New Hampshire does a late one. And I had one contact. And I finally, I scanning through with my 7300, picked up one guy from New Hampshire. He says, well, I'm going to have to move over and do CWS. And I broke in and I says, please, it's like, 30 minutes away from the end of the thing. And so I says, can you just, let's exchange contacts so I can get my second contact for New Hampshire. And it was that close for me. And it was a lot of fun. But again, it's persistence and commitment to do all those weekends.
Dale,
And I don't do the full number of hours. I have to walk away because I can't listen to all the excess noise. But again, persistence and commitment are what will get you through. And you look back on it, and it's a boatload of fun. And I appreciate the work that you guys did to create this. We promote it in our club, and we're getting more and more people to participate. And once they tried for a couple of states, several of them gotten hooked. And the more that we got out there and pass the word along, the more people we get involved, and it's been a success for us. Thank you.
Thanks,
You're welcome. Dale, I have a story to talk about. I was going to get all of the contacts in that 1 year, but the problem was my wife and I were heading to San Francisco on the California Zephyr, and we were not going to get to California until the party was over. And I needed to work that party, so I was able to get off on the platform in Colorado with my KX2 and my whip antenna and get 3 contacts there as an out-of-state. And then what happened is we got to Sacramento, and we got delayed there for about 15 minutes. So I got out and made some in-state contacts before the contest ended. But I like activities like that you get the restart every year because it puts the spice back in things. So I'm really active in the DX Marathon because every year I get to start anew on my DXCC. And then the State QSO Party Challenge is like, getting to work all your states again that year.
It really is. It's really cool. And I've heard several stories like yours, Anthony. One from W6OAT who almost missed a flight to see his family, I believe. He made he had to get another contact, had to get those 2 contacts in, and he said he cut it really close, but he had to get his 2 contacts, So people are serious about it, and it's a lot of fun. And we have a 2 contact requirement. We went back and forth on how many contacts should be required for qualification, and we came up with 2 contacts per QSO party. And you're saying, well, 2 contacts, maybe it should be more than us. We kept going. No, 2 is good. 1 is you're just stopping by. 2 means you gotta at least be there for a few minutes, and our goal is if you make 2, you're going to make 4 or 5, you're going to make more. But there are QSO parties when you do just get a couple of contacts. Hawaii is one of those. New Hampshire can be a bear.
Quebec on Easter.
Quebec on Easter. Yeah. So it's not easy. None of the QPs are not easy. But we think 2 is fair. And we had several people that said, well, we couldn't work, we could not find 2 stations. I'm like, well, somebody did. When OM2 Victor Lima gets his 2, then we can get ours. I mean, no question about that. But it's been interesting. And one other tidbit, I guess, one of the reasons this came about was that I remember working the QSO parties, and then you work like North Carolina QSO party, and it's over, and then you work another one, and it's kind of over. They're all independent. There's really nothing to bring everything together, and that was one of the reasons we did this too, is to kind of pull everyone together and create that energy. And I think that's one of the things that has happened. And I know the QSO party sponsors, some of them are going, why did they create this big thing? Now my QSO party has grown by leaps and bounds. I have to do the extra effort, but hey, it's worth it, and just enjoy it. But it's been great to have that unity where week after week you're actually going after something bigger than just the QSO party. You're going for the WQP, you're going to the top 10 or something like that. I mean, it gives you something to shoot for and to come back for. So it's really cool. And I'm biased, I know, but it really is. I do it and enjoy it. So. Anything else?
I was just going to say, following up on that, I could see where it encourages you to get in, even if you can't, make a serious effort that weekend for some reason. It encourages you to get in there for a little while, at least, because the just participating acts as a multiplier for the challenge.
Exactly.
Well, thank you all. Dan?
Thank you.
Unmute. I'm sorry, guys. I was joining the chat.
Yeah.
The exchange. This has been a good one.
Very good. Thank you all.
What do we have coming up tomorrow night, Dan?
Oh, I had to pull up the schedule to take a look. Tomorrow being Thursday, it undoubtedly will be something to do with disaster communications, and it looks like it's the FEMA National Mobile Emergency Response Service, MERS, 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 and the Region 5 FEMA director is going to give that. It should be a good presentation.
That's good.
If you're new to the RATPAC presentations, please feel free to visit ratpac.us. You can sign up for our mailing list and get announcements of all the upcoming sessions. And there's also a list there of all the previous sessions. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or subscribe on YouTube and get notifications of all the videos we post. Again, RATPAC, ratpac.us.
I'll be back.
All right. Well, with that, I think I'm going to say 73s, everyone. It's been a great meeting and nice to hear some of your stories, folks. You got a lot to share.
Hopefully we'll see you all on the various state QSO parties and make contacts.
Very good.
See you in the pals.
Thanks for stopping by, Dave.
Okay.
73s, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Anthony.